Hello again, it's me, back with another Duels review, but this time, we've got a patch to talk about. We are going to get to the showdown in the Badlands cards that were revealed today, but first we're just going to cover this patch. So patch 27.6.2 is a data-only patch, launching on October 26th, that is this Thursday. They say there were two clear meta offenders that they wanted to address in this patch, YOGG and the Druid class. Recent additions from the mini-set made for overly powerful neutral board control tools that were warping the meta. These combined with standout Druid cards made for a Druid shell that was able to cover its class weaknesses and utilize any number of finishers to end the game. These changes focus on weakening the Druid cell that facilitated these powerful finishers, while also removing negative play experiences that we believe were causing more pain than fun. After those adjustments, the Jailer and Tony are out on probation, but we'll be keeping an eye on them and the rest of the meta as we head to Showdown in the Badlands. So what are they actually changing about Druid? Embrace of Nature, Rake, Prison Breaker, and YOGG. Now, in Duels, we don't see all of these in the same deck generally, like we do in Standard. YOGG and Prison Breaker are very strong cards in Duels. I definitely expect to see a lot less of YOGG. We've got, as far as Druid is concerned, Nature Druid was already significantly weaker. So the sort of like spell pile decks that were in Elise and Omu weren't really as popular as they had been before. But YOGG continued to be very, very strong in not only Druid, but many classes. I've been doing very well with Arcane Hunter in Duels, and a lot of that has to do with YOGG. As far as the actual changes, we're seeing Embrace of Nature up to 2 mana from 1. Embrace of Nature, of course, is the draw choose 1 card, and if you forge it, it has both effects combined. I think 2 mana makes more sense for that. Rake is multi-strike for Druids. That used to be 1 mana, gain +2 attack, and deal damage equal to your hero's attack equal to target minion. At 2 mana, that's going to be a lot closer to multi-strike. I expect to see less of it for sure, but we weren't seeing a whole lot of Rake in Duels right now. Prison Breaker is probably not going to be seen in as many spell decks, just because the board clear potential is a lot less, dealing only 2 damage instead of 3 damage. But the real change here is YOGG. YOGG was 15 mana, costs 1 less for each spell you've cast this game, and then it had the 3 abilities that it had. Now it just costs 9 mana. After you use an ability, cast 2 random spells. This is YOGG. This is a YOGG. Will decks still play this? Of course. You're going to see this in Omu. You're going to see this in Vandar. It is just a big, chunky minion now. Decks that liked to run Titans, just because they like to run big, chunky minions, will probably still run this. I don't know that Blood DK will find a spot for it, but Blood DK now can run it, whereas before they couldn't because they didn't really have enough spells. So we might see more of YOGG, we might see less of YOGG, but he'll be in different places, and he'll be a lot weaker, which I think is very important. I'm interested to see if my Arcane Hunter still works with a YOGG-less version, but that only time will tell. We've got Tony, King of Piracy. He is now a 7 mana battle cry. Replace your deck with a copy of your opponent's finale, draw a card. I still don't think we're gonna see this card in Duels. You just would rather have your own cards. Now Fatigue Druid or Fatigue Elise might find a place for Tony, just to have another way to put extra cards in your deck. Any kind of Fatigue deck might be interested in that. Definitely not Bomb Warrior though. The Jailer. We are no longer going to be seeing Jailer Bolf combos. Jailer is now Battlecry, destroy your deck. This minion gains immune. So it's just a 10 mana, 10/10 immune, destroy your deck. Fine. Fine. And we are seeing less anomalies in Standard. I will never queue Standard until you just remove anomalies, Blizzard. So do it. Moving on, we've got some actual Duels updates. So, Dino tracking for Bran used to be discover a beast, give it +1/+1. That still wasn't good enough. So now it's discover a beast from your class, give it +1/+1. You better believe I'm trying Beast Brand after this. We are discovering some real good beasts if we are only getting Hunter and Warrior beasts. I'm excited about that. Demon Blood is the 1-mana hero power that was give a random demon in your hand +2/+2 for Willow. Now it gives a random demon in your hand +3/+2. I was already seeing this hero power played, so I expect to see more of it, but it wasn't really making waves. Mind Tether, back to being a passive. Passive, after you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to the enemy hero. Be on the lookout for Spell Pile Elusias. They are going to be strong. I definitely think Spell Pile Elusia is going to make a return, and especially with the new cards coming out in Showdown in the Badlands, there will definitely be a Spell Pile deck. No Gluts, No Glory, the ping hero power for Rattlegore, back down to 1 mana. So now that's 1 mana. Deal 1 damage to a friend. Deal 1 damage to a minion. If it's friendly, give it +2 attack. If it's an enemy, gain +2 armor. Seems pretty good. Back at 1 mana. I definitely think we'll be seeing that with Enraged Warrior again. Outlander is now 1 mana. If you've played an Outcast card this turn, discover a Fell spell. Ooh boy, we are gonna be seeing us some Fell Demon Hunter. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but we're gonna see it. And then Vile Concoction is the rogue hero power that used to be 2 mana, give a minion poisonous, combo add a concoction to your hand. It is now give a minion poisonous, combo add a toxin to your hand. I don't know what this means. I assume these are the toxins from that one 4 mana 3/2. You know, not Professor Hellbrim, the one that's a Bugulon. If that is the case, these are pretty decent, but that makes Vile Concoction a weapon hero power now. So, interesting changes. We'll have to see how it shakes out. You better believe I'll be playing some Beast Brand, and we'll see some Spell Elusia, and I will be playing some Fell Demon Hunter. As far as bugs go, Lakari Sacrifice Imps don't have Rush. Sorry, guys. Fixed a bug where Blade of Quel'Dalar and Hilt of Quel'Dalar did not combine into the Sword of Quel'Dalar. I hadn't ever seen this, but I'm glad it's fixed, because that's annoying. Alright, moving swiftly on to the reveals for today. We've got let me just bring it up. There it is. We've got Holy Springwater, our new Showdown in the Badlands priest card. It is a 2 mana holy spell with restore 8 health to a damaged character, save any excess in a 1-cost bottle. Now, as far as we understand, this token that I've got here, Bottled Springwater, is actually written incorrectly. They just sort of created a dummy token because the actual token is gonna say, like, restore 8 health. But when they were making this token, they forgot that the Bottled Springwater is not going to have the damaged character restriction on it. So, to be clear, this is 2 mana, restore 8 health to a damaged character, save all the overheal in a 1-cost bottle that can heal any character. So, we're gonna see a couple cards like this where you save stuff in bottles in Priest, and really, it's just kinda Twin Spell, but the second spell is cheaper. And would Priest spell piles want to run a Twin Spell card? Essentially like a Twin Spell card with Sticky Fingers? Yeah, absolutely. They would. So this is great for Spell Elusia and Spell Elise decks. Spell Elusia with her new passive hero power will definitely make some usage out of 1 mana spells. I don't know what you're doing with all this healing though, unless you're just running Injured Cavaldier and sending it face. It doesn't say friendly character, so definitely could try that. On to the next bottle spell. We've got Invasive Shadeleaf. 4 mana shadow spell. Deal 8 damage to an enemy minion. Save any excess in a 1-cost bottle. Now, the excess on Shadeleaf will be targeting enemy minions. It can't go face. This is kind of just a 4-mana unconditional clear in a lot of cases, because deal 8 damage on 4 is usually going to clear the thing you need, unless, of course, they've got, like, a big Hagatha's minion, or they're running, like, a loyal sidekick or something like that. This should usually clear something, and any more than you need, like, say they've got a 3/5, then you clear their 3/5 for 4 mana, and then you get a Holy Smite in your hand, except it's a shadow spell, and you probably care more about shadow spells in the deck that you're running this in. Seems pretty decent. 4 mana on the overhead is a lot to pay, though, so we'll have to see. Spell Pile Elucia and Elise will reduce the cost of this pretty fast, though, so I don't see that being too big of an issue. Swarm of Lightbugs, 5 mana, summon 10 1/1 Lightbugs with Lifesteal. Save any excess in a 1-cost bottle. And the bottled Lightbugs are 1 mana, summon the excess 1/1 Lightbugs with Lifesteal. I love this card. This is a huge card. Do you guys remember Whispering Woods? That was a 4-mana druid spell that said summon 1/1 wisps with no keywords equal to the number of cards in your hand. That was 4 mana, and we loved that card. We played that card in lots of decks. Now, it's been a long time since that, but there's a lot of reasons that we care about running spells that make more spells in Priest. We've got Sticky Fingers, we've got Orb of Revelation, we've got Khadgar's Scrying Orb, we've got Holy Passives, Shadow Passives for the other cards. Like, Swarm of Lightbugs itself doesn't synergize with all of those, but it's still just a spell that summons lots of minions. If you're trying to get your opponent to answer something or to react to you, this spell fills your board twice with lifesteal minions. I think this is a really good one. We're gonna see it. Thirsty Drifter, 6 mana 4/6 taunt, costs 1 less for each 1-cost card you've played this game. Are we doing 1-cost Priest? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good 1-cost spells. If we're playing a spell pile, then this card could get pretty cheap. But playing a spell pile, why do we want a 6 mana 4/6 taunt? Fine, a 2 mana 4/6 taunt, whatever it ends up being. Do we want this? Maybe. I mean, we do run a lot of 1-drops. The best discovers in Priest are 1-drops. And the best discovers in Druid, if we're doing Elise, are also 1-drops. So there's a lot of reason that you could use this card. But as it stands, I just don't see why we want an extra 4/6 taunt when we could just be running more spells that trigger our passives. Pip the Potent. 4 mana 3/5, Battlecry, copy each 1-cost card in your hand. This is fun. This is cute. I don't think we're doing like a 1-cost Priest. It's just not a thing. Like, let me show you a little example of why this is not gonna work. Say you go, I'm gonna build a deck that's all 1 mana spells, Pip the Potent, and Thirsty Drifter. And you do so, and you're running some of the bottled spells too, because those count as 1 mana spells. And then you're like, yeah, awesome. I've got all these 1 mana spells. I've got Pip the Potent. First 2 games, you bottle up some stuff. You do something great. It works. But then third game, you get offered the best treasure for your deck, Khadgar's Scrying Orb. Your spells cost 1 less. All your 1 mana spells cost 0 now. All your potions cost 1 less before you use them, and then 0 when you get the bottle back. Now, Pip doesn't work with any of the cards in your deck. Pip works with none of the cards in your deck now. And that's a tier 2. There's also Robes of Shrinking. There's also, there's lots of ways that 1-cost cards could not be 1-cost cards for very long. And even so, even if they were, it's this 4 mana 3/5, generate some stuff. We don't want to play a 4 mana 3/5 in Duels. This doesn't do anything. This doesn't synergize with any of our treasures that we're trying to run with this deck. It's a really cool card, and I think the package is going to make sense in constructed decks, just not in Duels. Next up, we've got Injured Hauler. 3 mana 3/7, Battlecry, deal 4 damage to this minion. Overheal, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. This is a cool little piece for the Overheal decks. We've never really seen Overheal work in any formats, let alone duels. But if you get lots of holy spells, you can get Invigorating Light, which gives your minions and you additional health every time you cast a holy spell. This could see play. This could be good. But it is entirely contingent on whether or not an Overheal holy deck starts seeing play. And it would need more than just this for that to happen. Let's just put it at that. Tram Heist, 4 mana, get a copy of each card your opponent played last turn. I mentioned that if there were enough decent spells that generate other things in Showdown in the Badlands, certain classes might run spell piles with Showdown in the Badlands cards. Priest is definitely one of them. This is just generate a bunch of stuff. 4 mana, get a bunch of stuff. It's stuff you know that's good because your opponent played it. It's stuff that probably synergizes with each other because your opponent just played them together. And you can choose when to do it, unlike Plagiarize. So you just wait for them to play like their quest reward or something like that, and then bam, you've got one yourself. Seems great. If you're running a spell pile with Elucia or Elise, you're definitely gonna consider this one. All right, we've got Posse Possession, 4 mana shadow spell. Summon a 4/4 copy of a random minion in your opponent's hand. Just some cheap like spell that generates stuff for your spell pile deck. This one, I don't think we're gonna actually put in the deck to begin with, but when we draft it, we're not gonna be sad about it. Because again, our opponent is probably running stuff that they want to play, and we're probably gonna see something good come out of it. And in the chances where your opponent has like a Death Rattle deck or a big deck, you could get a really good posse out of this. Moving on, we've got Benevolent Banker. That is 3 mana 2/4, Battle Cry, discover a spell from your deck. Quick draw, enemy deck instead. You know, I think I'd rather discover a spell from my own deck. It's kind of weird. Huh. It's a pretty decent one off Flip Firearm. Priest likes having cards from your opponent, like copied from your opponent, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I think this is probably just a 3 mana Discover minion that we're happy to run in our Discover decks. That just... I don't even know if the quick draw is an upside or a downside. I think it's a side grade entirely. But yeah, it's just a Battlecry Discover on a 3 mana 2/4. We're running Nerubian Vizier in certain Priest decks without any ability to activate its undead condition. So I feel like we definitely want to run this one. Especially because the spells in your deck are better than spells that are just generated from the Aether. Alright, carrying on. Oh, whoops, that was the last one. Alright, well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, 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 bye.